There was an ESPN reporter by the name of Sarah Spain who was commenting on the fact that there are several baseball players on the Tampa Bay Rays team who have declined to wear a pride pin on their uniform. This was something that the team told the players, told the team, we are going to do this to virtue signal, right? Just like all these woke corporations, we are going to do this to get our woke brownie points during Pride Month. And several Tampa Bay Rays players said, actually, we're not comfortable with doing this, so we're not going to. And in the terrible cultural situation that we're in right now, they felt the need to explain that publicly, to excuse themselves from why they didn't wear this rainbow pin on their uniform. And this ESPN reporter named Sarah Spain, actually, I don't know if this was intentional or not, admitted what the agenda of the left is when it comes to Pride Month.
Tampa pitcher Jason Adams to the Tampa Bay Times. Hard decision, because ultimately we all said we want them to know that they are welcome and loved here. But when we put it on our bodies, I think a lot of guys decided that it's just a lifestyle that maybe, not that they look down on or anything or differently, it's just that maybe we don't want to encourage, we believe in Jesus, who's encouraged us to live a lifestyle that would abstain from that behavior. Sarah Spain, how does that all come off to you?
Pride is about inclusion, so you don't love them and you don't welcome them if you're not willing to wear the patch. And calling it a lifestyle reveals to me that you've done not even a modicum of research or understanding on this topic, which is what tends to happen when a privileged class isn't affected by things. This is not just about baseball. That religious exemption BS, which is used in sport and otherwise, also allows for people to be denied health care, jobs, apartments, children, prescriptions, all sorts of rights. And so we have to stop tiptoeing around it, because we're trying to protect people who are trying to be bigoted from asking for them to be exempt from it, when the very people that they are bigoted against are suffering the consequences.
When you say trying to be bigoted,
they're trying to use religious exemptions to affect the opportunities, services, available resources for people who are LGBTQ+.
And a patch on the jersey in this way?
In the case of sport, no. In the case of sport, though, they're double talking if they're saying you're welcome while also saying that we don't encourage or we disagree with it, especially when there are devout people of every single religion that also welcome and are open to people who are born gay.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, because what Sarah Spain is doing here, this is an ESPN reporter, by the way, what Sarah Spain is doing is actually being honest. She's actually telling us what the true agenda of Pride Month is, what the true agenda of this virtue signaling that we see from woke corporations, from leftist politicians, what they expect us to do. Meaning what leftists expect even religious people. I'm a practicing Catholic. I adhere and believe in the doctrine of the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church doctrine, for example, and this is true of all Christian religions, of the Jewish religion, of the religion of Islam. There are many religions that believe that marriage is between one man and one woman, and that sex belongs within the confines of marriage, and therefore other types of sexual behavior. This is not a commentary on the person, but other types of sexual behavior like premarital sex or extramarital sex, affairs and infidelity, or homosexual sex doesn't fall within the confines of marriage as defined between one man and one woman, and therefore is unbiblical or is a sin or is immoral. This is not a commentary on the individual. It's not a commentary on their legal right to participate in society. It's not a commentary on whether they should be allowed or disallowed to actually behave in that way with whoever they want, as long as that person's a consenting adult. This is a commentary on the religious belief on that particular behavior. But what the left does, what Sarah Spain is vocalizing here, is she says, if you don't love them, you don't welcome them, if you're not willing to wear the patch. So you can't love someone unless in the mind of the LGBTQ lobby, you can't love someone, you can't welcome them, you can't allow them to participate in society unless you also celebrate and endorse, give a rubber stamp of validation to their behavior. That is false. That's absolutely false. I sit here as a practicing Catholic and I advocate for full equality under the law for everyone. Unless you've been convicted of a crime, you deserve full, and that's of course a constitutional due process thing, right? You can't be deprived of your rights except for due process. That's a totally different situation, but it doesn't matter your immutable characteristics. It doesn't matter what your behavior in that way is. You deserve equality under the law. And as a practicing Catholic, who again adheres to the doctrine of the Catholic Church, I of course advocate for equality under the law. I advocate for what actual tolerance is, meaning You can behave however you want, regardless of what I think of it morally. But what they're trying to do, what Sarah Spain wants, is she wants me to be forced to violate my religious beliefs. She wants you to be forced to violate your religious beliefs. She wants us to be ashamed of it. She wants us to be deprived of the opportunities she claims that Christians are trying to deprive of LGBTQ people, which is, of course, not true on that part. But she doesn't want these players to be allowed to hold these views and still be allowed to play on this team. So what is that? She's advocating for discrimination based on religion. She's pretending she wants equality, or maybe it's equity, but she doesn't. She actually wants people to be punished based on their viewpoints if those viewpoints are different than hers. She claims that religious people are trying to be bigoted, that they're trying to be bigoted because they're using what she says, quote, using religious exemptions to affect opportunities and services for LGBTQ people. And kudos, by the way, to one of the other panelists on this show who said, but wearing a patch on a sports uniform, does that like, if you decline to do that, are you depriving anyone of an opportunity over service? And she actually says no, which is funny because when you actually ask leftists, well, what is the discrimination, the institutional discrimination or the governmental discrimination that LGBTQ people face? What are they denied? What rights are they denied because of their sexual orientation or even because of gender identity, although I hate that term? What are they denied? They can't answer because there is equality under the law for LGBTQ people. They are not denied a basic human right based on their sexual orientation. We're fortunate actually to live in a country where they are allowed to decide how they want to live their lives and they don't face legal discrimination based on that. But this is the radical left. This LGBTQ ideology, which is what Pride Month is about, was never about tolerance. It was never about equality under the law. It was always an effort, and it is an ongoing effort to force you, to force me, to force religious people to embrace that behavior and ultimately that ideology.